Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting.
Alright, welcome back to the channel. Last week at the range, I shot this set of targets with Vita Viore N540 powder and a Hornady 55 grain VMAX bullet. I was shooting charge weights from 25.5 to 27.5 grains, and I found this particular load at 27 grains, which I thought shot particularly well. It had a .96 extreme spread on 10 shots, and it had a .33 mean radius. And what I noticed in particular about this group was that 8 out of 10 shots string horizontally, which indicates to me a low standard deviation and possibly a good velocity node. So I'm going to develop this a little bit further by loading just below and just above this particular charge weight. So I'm going to go from 26.6 to 26.8 to 27 to 27.2 and 27.4 grains of N540 powder, shooting this same bullet, and we will see if we can find a load in there somewhere where we stay under an inch and maybe get that mean radius down into the 2s. So stay tuned, more to come.
For those who have commented asking what type of rifle I'm shooting, I oftentimes don't mention that. This is a Tikka T3X 223 Remington mounted in an MDT Oryx chassis. I have a Vortex Diamondback Tactical 6 to 24 by 50 rifle scope, first focal plane. Alright, I've got 2 magazines loaded. I'll be shooting 5 fouling shots first at the 26.6 charge weight with a full metal jacket bullet, and then I'll begin shooting at that load, 26.6 grains, with a 55 grain VMAX, and we'll shoot the rest of the targets with the 55 VMAX. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results at the end. Shooting at 100 yards. All right, I think we've got a couple of really good groups here, so let's bring them in and take a look. All right, so this was our fouling group. After shooting this group, after a couple of them, I adjusted a couple of clicks down and had to adjust it a couple of clicks to the left, then shot this group. We've got a V shape going on here that looks like maybe 1.25 inches. pretty tight cluster here, but a couple of flyers out here at 26.8. 27 is the group that I was working off of that shot the best on the last time out, and it didn't shoot quite as well this time, but I'm only looking at 5 shots as well. I have 4 here that are right at an inch, I believe, and this is going to make it probably 1 1/4 to 1 1/3. But look over here at 27.2. Now, I'm certain that I pull this one, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be my best group because every one of these 9 shots are touching. But if you look over here at 27.4, I've got all 10 shots touching one area right here. So that's going to be an extremely tight mean radius. Now this looks like it's a smaller extreme spread from here to here than it is from here to here. But this is going to throw that average off. I suspect, however, because of this flyer and this tighter cluster, the mean average is going to be pretty close to the same as this one single cluster over here. All right, but we will take these home and measure these with the group analysis function of the Hornady Ballistics app, and I will get back to you with the results. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, and I've got my results from the range. Now, as always, as I go through these targets one by one, what I'm going to show you in the upper right-hand corner of your screen will be a screenshot from the Hornady Ballistics app with the group analysis function that actually measures the groups. And then what I do is I take that information and I transfer that information onto the target, and I do a photograph, a close-up of the target, so you can see that information more clearly. All right, the way I shot these is for the warming group, I used a 55 grain full metal jacket, which is the same weight bullet. And then I had 10 shots of the 55VMAX here, 10 shots here, 5 shots, 10 shots, and 10 shots. So what we're doing here is we're working 2/10 and 4/10 less than 27 grains, and we're working 2/10 and 4/10 higher than the 27 grains. The first group was just a fouling group, and I was previously shooting a 75 grain bullet, so I had to adjust the scope to account for the 55 grain bullet. So we shot this fouling group, which I was adjusting the scope while I was shooting this. So we ended up with a 1.75 group here. Before I started shooting these targets, I adjusted it 1 click to the left to get it a little bit more on center. So on our first group, as with all of the groups, the red cross that you'll see on my target represents the average point of impact, and it corresponds to the white X that you see on the screenshot from the Hornady app. So on each of these, I've marked my windage and elevation. So on the first target, I'm shooting 44 hundredths to the right and 1.29 inches high. We had an extreme spread of 1.12 inches and a mean radius of 0.42 inches. And as I have said before, a radius is half a circle. So if you double that, that gives you an average group size of 0.82 on 10 shots. The other thing that I look at is the area that the group covers. So if you see on the Hornady app over here, it shows the width and the height of each group. And so here, the width and the height, 0.91 times 1.11, gives us an average group size of 1.01 inches. So just a shade over 1 inch of area for a group of 1.12 inches and a mean radius of 0.42 inches. Moving on to 26.8 grains of powder, we're traveling at 3,198 feet per second. We're shooting 0.38 inches to the right and 1.39 inches in elevation above the point of aim. The first 3 shots here that I shot are highlighted in pink, and I actually expected that to be how the group would cluster. But then my 4th shot was a flyer, which landed right here. And I had another flyer out here, but most of these shots clustered pretty well right around here. That's probably about 7/10 of an inch there for that group. Nevertheless, we had a 1.31 area. Our extreme spread was 1.37. And our mean radius is 0.41, giving you an average group size of 0.82 inches. Moving on to 27 grains, I thought this would be really good because that's what this whole study is based off of, is we're starting at 27 grains and we're going 2 and 4 grains below and 2 and 4 grains behind, because previously that load shot a 10-shot group size of 0.96 inches with a 0.33 mean radius. It didn't do quite so well this time, and that could be the shooter or it could have been the load. But in any event, now we're shooting 0.34 inches to the right and 1.18 inches high. We've got an extreme spread of 1.43 and a mean radius of 0.52, which gives you an average group size of 1.04 inches, and we're covering an area of 1.18 inches. Now, as we increase the charge weight, we begin to see those groups tighten up. And it's kind of a toss-up between group number 4 and group number 5 here. And here's why. On group number 4, we're shooting 27.2 grains of powder, and we're flying at 3,246 feet per second. We're shooting 0.39 inches to the right, and we're shooting 1.58 inches high. We have an extreme spread of 1.03 inches and a mean radius of 0.3, which gives you an average group size of 0.60 inches. And on our area, the area is extremely tight. If you multiply the width times the height, we've got an area of 0.69 inches. So an average group size of 0.60 and an area of 0.69 inches, that's shooting pretty well, I think. Now, I will also point out, too, that when I was shooting this target, I was coming back from a break. I paused after shooting the third group to run to the men's room, and I came back, and so the barrel had cooled down a bit, and this first shot here was actually a cold barrel shot, and so that may account for why this shot is off by itself, and it's a flyer, so this could actually be the best group here. The next group, I'm shooting at 27.4 grains of powder, and we're traveling at 3,270 feet per second. We're shooting just over a half inch to the right at 0.51 and right at an inch and a half high at 1.46. We've got a extreme spread of 0.92 inches, which is better than the previous group, but because these shots are a little more scattered, we have a mean radius of 0.34, which gives you an average group size of 0.68. However, because this is one ragged hole and it has a tight cluster and no flyer, we actually have an area of 0.53 inches. So which one is the better group? A mean radius of 0.34 and an area of 0.53, or a mean radius of 0.30 and an area of 0.69? I think it's a toss-up there. So what I will probably have to do here is do another comparison where I shoot two 20-shot groups using the same powder and charge weight for each of these, and we'll see how those compare. And that should give us a good indication of which one of these is actually the better group. All right, so those are my results from the range. I hope you find this information helpful. If you're considering the N540 and the 55VMAX bullet as a choice, either one of these should probably work well for you. They worked well in my rifle. That's no guarantee that it'll work well in yours because every rifle is different, but they worked well for me, and I suspect they would probably work well for you as well. All right, so if you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, comments, or questions, please leave those in the comments section below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.